There are countless love stories in Hollywood, but only a handful have stood the test of time. While many famous romances ended beneath the glare of flashing cameras and tabloid headlines, one relationship quietly endured for nearly half a century. It wasn't built on publicity or glamour. It was built on loyalty, respect, and an unwavering commitment to family. For James Stewart, one of Hollywood's most beloved actors, the greatest role of his life wasn't played before an audience. It was the life he shared with his wife, Gloria. Millions remember James Stewart for unforgettable classics like It's a Wonderful Life, Rear Window, Vertigo, and The Philadelphia Story. His warm voice, humble personality, and unmistakable sincerity made him one of the most admired actors of the 20th century. He earned an Academy Award, served with distinction during World War II, and became an enduring symbol of integrity in American cinema. But behind the legendary career was a man who longed for something far simpler than fame. More than awards or recognition, James wanted a place where he could simply be himself. That place arrived in 1948, when James met Gloria McLean. He was approaching more than 40 years old. By then, he had achieved nearly everything an actor could dream of. Yet despite the success, something was missing. Gloria immediately stood apart from the glamorous world surrounding Hollywood stars. She carried herself with quiet confidence and had little interest in celebrity life. Rather than being impressed by James's reputation, she treated him like any other person. Friends later recalled that she listened carefully, laughed easily, and possessed a calm presence that instantly put people at ease. For James, that was exactly what he had been searching for. Their relationship grew naturally. Instead of chasing the Hollywood social scene, they preferred peaceful evenings together, dinners with close friends, and long conversations that stretched late into the night. Around Gloria, James didn't have to live up to anyone's expectations. He wasn't the famous movie star. He was simply Jim. The couple married in August 1949, beginning a partnership that would last 45 remarkable years. James also embraced another responsibility with open arms. Gloria had 2 sons from her previous marriage, Michael and Ronald. Rather than viewing them as stepchildren, James welcomed them into his life as his own family. Those close to him said he never made a distinction between biological children and stepchildren. To him, they were simply his sons. 2 years later, the family grew again when twin daughters, Judy and Kelly, were born. Although James's career continued reaching extraordinary heights, family remained his highest priority. Whenever filming allowed, he made every effort to be home for dinner. Vacations were family adventures instead of glamorous Hollywood events. Their home became a peaceful refuge where movie premieres, awards, and studio politics stayed outside the front door. Visitors often remarked that stepping into the Stewart home felt surprisingly ordinary. There was no atmosphere of celebrity. Conversations focused on everyday life, school, family memories, and laughter instead of Hollywood gossip. Much of that atmosphere came from Gloria. She understood something many people never realized about James Stewart. Despite his worldwide fame, he remained deeply shy. Public attention exhausted him, and constant praise never made him comfortable. Gloria protected him from that pressure by creating a home where success no longer defined his identity. As James continued delivering unforgettable performances throughout the 1950s, starring in Alfred Hitchcock masterpieces including Rear Window, The Man Who Knew Too Much, and Vertigo, Gloria remained the steady force behind every achievement. She celebrated his victories without allowing fame to change their family. When disappointments came, as they inevitably do in every career, she reminded him that one film could never determine his worth as a person. Friends who spent time with the couple often noticed the same thing. There was no need for grand romantic gestures. A quiet smile across the room, a brief touch of the hand, or a simple glance was enough to reveal the deep affection they shared. While countless Hollywood marriages came and went, James and Gloria quietly built something much rarer, a partnership rooted in friendship, trust, and the ordinary moments that truly define a lifetime together. Neither of them could have imagined that the greatest challenge they would ever face still lay ahead. By the early 1990s, James and Gloria Stewart had spent more than 4 decades building a life together. Their children were grown, their family had expanded, and the home they created had become filled with memories that stretched across generations. They had weathered the ups and downs that every marriage encounters. But unlike many couples in Hollywood, they had done so without inviting the world into their private lives. Their greatest victories were never photographed, and their hardest moments were rarely discussed in public. Then came the news that changed everything. Gloria was diagnosed with cancer. For James, the diagnosis was devastating. Throughout his career, he had faced demanding film schedules, military service, and the pressures of international fame. None of those experiences prepared him for watching the woman he loved battle a serious illness. Without hesitation, he rearranged his life around her. Professional commitments became less important. Invitations to public events were declined more often, and the spotlight that had followed him for decades slowly faded into the background. His priority was no longer Hollywood, it was being by Gloria's side. Friends who visited during those years witnessed a quiet devotion that reflected the foundation of their marriage. James helped care for Gloria while respecting her privacy, refusing to turn her illness into a public story. The couple continued enjoying simple routines whenever possible, sharing meals together, talking for hours, and finding comfort in the familiar rhythms of home. Even as Gloria's health declined, James tried to preserve a sense of normalcy. He knew that ordinary moments had always been the heart of their relationship, and he wanted those moments to continue for as long as they could. In February 1994, Gloria passed away. Her death marked the end of a marriage that had lasted 45 years. Those closest to James noticed the change almost immediately. The warm smile that audiences had loved for generations appeared less often. Although he remained gracious and appreciative toward friends and admirers, a quiet sadness seemed to follow him everywhere. Public appearances became increasingly rare, and he preferred the comfort of home over the attention that had once been part of his daily life. One longtime friend later reflected that James had never been afraid of growing older. What troubled him was facing life without the woman who had shared every chapter of it. The house that had once echoed with family gatherings now felt remarkably still. Yet, James rarely spoke about his grief in dramatic terms. When Gloria's name came up, he didn't focus on loss. Instead, he spoke with gratitude. He remembered the laughter they shared, the family they raised, and the peace she brought into his life. Rather than dwelling on heartbreak, he chose to honor the years they had been given together. That quiet appreciation touched everyone who knew him. As the years passed, James continued receiving recognition for his extraordinary contributions to film. New audiences discovered classics like It's a Wonderful Life, Rear Window, and Vertigo, ensuring that his work would inspire generations to come. But behind every award and tribute was a man whose greatest treasure had never been found on a movie screen. It had been waiting for him at home. Friends often noticed that James spoke about Gloria as though her influence had never truly disappeared. The lessons she taught him, the kindness she showed, and the unwavering support she offered continued to shape his life even after her passing. He never tried to replace what they had shared. There were no public romances, no attempts to recreate the happiness he had lost. Instead, James carried Gloria's memory with quiet dignity, believing that some loves are so complete they never need another chapter. As his own health gradually declined, he accepted the passing years with the same humility that had defined his entire life. He remained thankful for the extraordinary career he had enjoyed, but even more thankful for the family he and Gloria had built together. On July 2, 1997, James Stewart passed away at the age of 80-9. To movie lovers around the world, it was the loss of one of Hollywood's greatest stars. To those who knew him personally, it was the peaceful farewell of a devoted husband whose heart had never fully recovered after losing the love of his life. Today, James Stewart's films continue to entertain audiences across the world. His performances remain timeless, reminding viewers why he became one of cinema's most beloved actors. Yet perhaps his most enduring legacy and found in an Academy Award, a famous scene, or a legendary performance that lives in the example he set away from the cameras. James and Gloria Stewart showed that genuine love doesn't depend on grand gestures or constant attention. It grows through everyday acts of kindness, unwavering loyalty, mutual respect, and the decision to stand beside one another through every season of life. Hollywood has produced countless unforgettable stories, but sometimes the greatest one ain't written in a screenplay. O times. It's simply the story of two people who chose each other every day and never stopped.